our encouragement, our funds, anything to make sure this surge is successful because it counts for America.
George, I'm going to let you come in. I'm going to let him finish. First, there are other people here in the room, George. I mean, after all, I did votes to get here. I'm wondering whether I'm looking at you right now. Do you differ at all from Mayor Giuliani, Governor Romney, or Senator McCain, then Senator Thompson, and Ron Paul gets the last word on this round? Go ahead, Congressman Tancredo.
There are a number of things, of course, with regard to Iraq that I think we have found some common ground on. But the reality is this, that we are in, it is absolutely true, I think, that we are in a war with radical Islam. That is the war. A battle is being fought in Iraq. Now, can we win the military battle on the ground? Yes, we can. Our guys are the best in the world, and the people that are serving there cannot be faulted in any way. One of the things, however, that I must say I am concerned about are the rules of engagement that apparently are restricting the ability of our people to do their job and to protect themselves. No one should ever go into harm's way. No president should ever send anyone in this military into harm's way and keep one arm tied behind them. These rules of engagement have got to be reviewed, and no president should ever pursue them in this way, or let people go in to a battle and be actually at risk. I unveiled a statue for a guy by the name of Danny Dietz in my district, a Navy SEAL. Danny Dietz is dead because the rules of engagement did not allow them to do what they needed to do over there. That is unacceptable. In the broader picture, of course, you are absolutely right. We have to do something about the fact that there is no political or economic solution being developed by the Iraqis, and you have to push them into it. America cannot be the police force in Iraq. It cannot remove itself entirely from Iraq, but Iraq has got to take control of Iraq.
Governor Thompson, then Congressman Paul, you get the last word.
Thank you very much. I've laid out a whole plan to really win the peace in Iraq. I've laid out a plan that we have to defend and give all our resources and every single tool possible to our fighting men and women. I have been with them like a lot of the people up here have, and the finest young men and women we'll ever have in our military. But beyond that, it is not fair to America and to Americans to shoulder all of the burden, to pay for a war that's costing us $10 billion a month, that we're not funding, we're just passing it on to our children and grandchildren, not requiring the Iraqi government to stand up and vote. That's a failure of Congress and the President of the United States, because they do need to demand that that government makes a political statement and help pay for that war and help fight to win that war. Secondly, I differ with Senator Brownback. They can't even decide in Parliament in Iraq whether or not they're going to be able to take a month or 6 weeks off for summer. How would they ever decide 3 particular divisions? They've already got that country divided into 18 states that have been there since 1921. And if, in fact, you're going to elect people, why don't you elect the state leaders like we do in Iowa, like we do in Wisconsin, all over America? And those individual governments will be Shiites, Sunnis, and Kurds, and it will stop the civil war and split the oil revenue between the federal government, the state governments, and every man, woman, and child like we do in Alaska, and give those individuals the opportunity to build their country. That will make a stable Iraq.
Congressman Paul, you get the last word on this round.
I, of course, opposed the war a long time before it started. The neoconservatives promoted this war many, many years before it was started. Had nothing to do with al-Qaeda. There was no al-Qaeda in Iraq. There were no weapons of mass destruction. Just think of the weapons the Soviets had in the 60s and the 70s, and we did not have to go to nuclear war with them. There's no reason to go to war against these third world nations. At the same time, those individuals who have predicted these disastrous things to happen if we leave Iraq are the same ones who said as soon as we go in, it will just be duck soup. It'll be over in 3 months. It won't cost us anything because the oil will pay for it.
Has he forgotten about 9/11?
At the same time,
have you forgotten about 9/11?
Just a moment. At the same time, the individuals who predicted the disaster, of course, the domino theory in Vietnam, I was called to duty. I accepted that duty in the 60s. I served 5 years in the military. When we left there, it was tough. Yes, but now we trade with Vietnam. We talk to them. The presidents come to this country. We go back and forth. We invest in that country. We can achieve much more in peace than we can ever achieve in these needless, unconstitutional, undeclared wars.
Senator McCain.
1 minute. 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 1 minute.
Let me just say, George, all of us feel frustration, sometimes anger and sorrow over what's happened in this war. It was very badly mismanaged for nearly the first 4 years. I was one of the greatest critics. We do now have a strategy that's succeeding. We do have a military whose morale is up because they see this success. This has consequences far beyond Iraq, throughout the entire region. Look at the behavior of the Iranians, the Syrians, the uneasiness of our so-called allies in the region. This is a historic moment in history. And I am going to be judged by history, not by public opinion polls. And I believe that we can and must prevail, and we've got the strategy and the general that can do it. Give us some time for it to succeed.
I want to move on now to domestic issues. Healthcare, one of the #1 domestic issues we heard about in our poll. You hear about it every day out on the campaign trail. This week, the Senate debated whether or not to expand health insurance to children in the United States. And for this, I want to turn to the question of David Yepsen.
Governor Huckabee, Senator Grassley helped fashion a compromise plan to cover 3.2 million more children by raising the cigarette tax. Poor children. President Bush has threatened to veto. Who do you side with, President Bush or Senator Grassley?
I think I'd like to side with the people of America who really are looking for a lot better action than they're getting out of the president or Congress. And you know what? If you want to know how to fix it, I got a solution. Either give every American the same kind of health care that Congress has, or make Congress have the same kind of health care that every American has. They'll get it fixed. And the issue in this country is that we really have an incredible problem because our system is upside down. It focuses on intervention at the catastrophic level of disease rather than really focusing on prevention. So we've got a system that no matter how much money we pour into it, we're not going to fix it. We're not going to fix it until we begin to address the fact that this country has put its focus not on wellness, not on prevention, not on health, but on sickness. And that's the single most important and urgent thing that has to be done. And if we don't do that, then we're going to continue just pouring money, and it's almost like having a boat that's taking on water, and rather than plugging the hole, we want to get a bigger bucket to take the water out of the boat.
Governor Thompson, same question to you. Who do you side with in that dispute, the president or Iowa's senior senator?
David, I want you to know that health care is one of my major dominant fields. I was Secretary of Health. Neither one of them are right. The problem is Governor Huckabee is absolutely correct. We've got a sickness, illness, and disease society. We spend 90% of $2 trillion, ladies and gentlemen. That's 16% of the gross national product on getting people well after they get sick. Less than 10% of the money keeping you out of the hospital, out of the nursing home. Does anybody in America think that's a smart idea? I think it's dumb. Let's go to wellness and prevention. Let's #2, let's start managing diseases in America. Let's make sure that individuals that are chronically ill and physically disabled are able to get the quality of health and therefore get the quality of life. They take up 66% of the cost. You could reduce that down to 50%.
Congressman Tancredo.
#3, I just would like to say, on the uninsured, you could get one form, like we do in the 1040 for taxes, one form for the employment system, and you could save $137 billion. That would cover all of the uninsured in America without raising taxes, ladies and gentlemen.
Congressman Tancredo, how do you cover the uninsured?
Yeah, listen, let me suggest we think about something in the area of health care that perhaps is unique, different, and scary to some people, but that is this. The government, it's not the responsibility of the federal government to provide womb-to-tomb health care for Americans. Okay? And so we constantly debate on exactly what way we want to push government control of this issue, but in every way we're doing it, it's unhealthy. It is unhealthy to have a government health care plan in America. There are some things we can do, absolutely. The expansion of health savings accounts, that increases individual responsibility. The allowing for people to actually take the reimportation of prescription drugs. And not only that, but let's do something about the 12 to 20 million illegal aliens in this country that are taking a large part of our health care dollars.
Thank you. Gentlemen, I want to give this back to David Yepsen in a second, but I just want to clear something up first. Congressman Tancredo, I know you voted against the expansion of the children's health insurance this week. And this is just yes or no, Governor Thompson. Are you for the expansion or with President Bush on the veto?
I am for expanding S-chip, but not the way Congress has done it.